We're continuing with chapter 71 in Zelly's perspective. My body wakes before my mind. Though there's an improvement from the searing agony, a throbbing ache still runs through my back. It stings as I rise. I flinch from the pain. What is this? Where am I? I gaze at the canvas tent erected around my cot. Everything in my mind sits in a haze, except the echo of Enan's embrace. My heart flutters at the thought, taking me back to his arms. Parts of him still feel so close. The softness of his lips, the strong grip of his hands, but other parts already feel so far away, as if they happened a lifetime ago. Words he said, tears we wept, the way the reeds tickled my back, reeds I'll never see again. Saren's black eyes watch as the lieutenant carves into my back. I wouldn't be doing my job as king if I didn't remind you what you are. I grip the rough sheets. Pain ripples through my skin. I stifle a groan as someone enters the tent. You're up! A large, freckled magi with light brown skin and a head full of white braids walks to my side. I flinch at her touch at first, but when heat travels through my cotton tunic, I breathe a sigh of relief. Connie, she introduces herself. It's nice to see you awake. I glance at her again. The vague memory of watching two girls who looked like her compete in an Agbon match surfaces. You have a sister? She nods. A twin, but I'm the cuter one. I try to smile at her joke, but the joy doesn't come. How bad is it? My voice doesn't sound like my own. Not anymore. It's small, empty, a well run dry. Oh, I'm sure with time. I close my eyes, bracing myself for the truth. I managed to stitch the wounds, but I think the scars are there to stay. I wouldn't be doing my job as king if I didn't remind you what you are. And there are Saren's eyes again, cold, soulless. But I'm so new at this, Connie rushes out. I'm sure a better healer can take them away. I nod, but it doesn't matter. Even if they wipe away the maggot, the pain will always stay. I rub my wrist, discolored and scaly, indented where the magicite cuffs burned through my skin. More scars that'll never heal. The tent flaps open again and I turn. I'm not ready to face anyone else. But then I hear it. Zell? His voice is delicate, not the voice of my brother. It's the voice of someone who's scared, someone who feels ashamed. As I turn, he shrinks into the corner of the tent. I slip down from the cot. For Tizane, I can swallow my fears. I can hold back every tear. Hey, he calls out. Stings sear my back as I wrap my arms around Tizane's chest. He pulls me close and the ache intensifies, but I let him squeeze as hard as he needs to see I'm okay. I left. His voice shrinks. I got angry and I left the celebration. I wasn't thinking. I didn't know. I pull back from Tizane and paste a smile on my face. The wounds looked a lot worse than they were. But you're back. It's fine. After Connie's done, there won't even be a scar. Tizane glances at Connie. Thankfully, she manages to smile back. He searches me, desperate to believe my lie. I promised Baba, he whispers. I promised Mama. You've kept your promise. Every single day. Don't blame yourself for this, Tizane. I don't. His jaw clenches tight, but he hugs me again, and I breathe as his muscles relax under my arms. You're awake. It takes me a few seconds to place Amari. Rid of her usual braid, her black hair cascades down her back. It swishes from side to side as she enters the tent with a sunstone in hand. The stone bathes her with its glorious light, but nothing inside me stirs. The sight almost breaks me. What happened? The last time I held the sunstone, the wrath of Oya lit every cell of my being on fire. I felt like a goddess. Now I hardly feel alive. Though I don't want to think about Saren, my mind takes me back to the cellar. It's like that bastard cut the magic out of my back. How are you feeling? Amari's voice pulls me from my thoughts, amber eyes piercing. I sit on the cot again to buy time. I'm okay. Selly? Amari tries to meet my gaze, but I look away. She's not Enid or Trizane. If she pries, I won't fool her. The flap opens as Connie exits. The sun begins to set behind the mountains. It dips under a jagged peak, sliding off the orange horizon. What day is it? I interrupt. How long was I out? Amari and Trizane make eye contact. My stomach drops so hard, it must lie at my feet. That's why I can't feel my magic. We missed the solstice? Trizane looks to the ground as Amari chews on her lower lip. Her voice comes out in a whisper. It's tomorrow. My heart jumps in my throat, and I hide my head in my hands. How are we going to get to the island? How am I going to do the ritual? Though I can't feel the chill of the dead, I whisper the incantation in my head. I scream the incantation. With a lurch, the soldier finishes the A. Bile spews from my lip. I scream. I scream, but the pain never ends. My palms burn and I look down. My fingernails have cut red crescents into my own skin. I unclench my fist and wipe the blood on my cot, praying no one sees. I try the incantation again, but no spirit rises from the dirt ground. My magic is gone. I don't know how to get it back. The realization reopens a gaping hole inside of me, a pit I haven't felt since the raid, since the moment I saw Baba crumble in the streets of Abaddon and knew things would never be the same. I think back to my first incantation in the sand dunes of Abeji, back to the ethereal rush of holding the sunstone and grazing Oya's hand. The ache that cuts through me is sharper than the blade that cut through my back. It's like losing Mama all over again. Amari sits on the corner of my bed and sets the sunstone down. I wish its golden waves would speak to me once more. What do we do? If we're this close to the Alisambo range, Zarya is at least a 3 days ride away. Even if I had my magic, we wouldn't get to Zarya in time, let alone be able to set sail for the Sacred Islands. Zane looks at me like I've slapped him in the face. We run. We find Baba and get the hell out of Orisha. He's right, Amari nods. I don't want to retreat, but my father has to know you're still alive. If we can't make it to the island, we need to get to safety and regroup. Figure out another way to fight. The hell are you talking about? I whip my head around as a boy nearly as big as Tizane charges through the tent flaps. Though it takes me a moment, I remember the white locks of a player who once faced Tizane on the Agbon court. Kenyon? I ask. His eyes flick to me, but there's no nostalgia in his glare. Good to see you've decided to wake up. Good to see you're still an ass. He glares before turning back to Amari. You said she was going to bring magic back. Now you're trying to cut and run? We're out of time, Tizane shouts. It'd take 3 days to get to Zarya, and only a half day to get through Jameta. Sky's not this again. People died for this, Kenyon yells. For her. Now you want to run away because you're afraid of the risk? Amari glowers with an intensity that could melt stone. You have no idea what we have risked, so I advise you to keep your mouth shut. You little. He's right. I speak up, a new desperation bubbling to the surface. This can't be it. After everything, I can't lose my magic again. We have a night. If we can get to Jameta, find a boat, if I can get my magic back, find some way to communicate with the gods. Zell, no. Tzain bends to my eye level the same way he does with Baba, because Baba is delicate, broken, and now so am I. Jametta's too dangerous. We're more likely to be killed than to find help. You need a rest. She needs to get off her ass. Tzain gets in Kenyon's face so quickly, I'm surprised he doesn't take the tent down with him. Stop it. Amari wedges herself between them. There's no time for us to fight. If we cannot get through, we need to get out. As they erupt in arguments, I stare at the sunstone within arm's reach. If I could touch it, just to graze. Please, Oya. I lift up the silent prayer. Don't let this be it. I take a deep breath, preparing for the rush of Sky Mother's soul, the fire of Oya's spirit. My fingers brush the smooth stone. Hope shrivels in my chest. Nothing. Not even a spark. The sunstone is cool to the touch. It's worse than before my awakening, before I ever touched the scroll. It's like all the magic has bled out of my body, left on that cellar's floor. Only a magi tethered to Sky Mother's spirit can perform the sacred act. Lakin's word echoes back into my mind. Without him, no other magi can be connected to Sky Mother before the ritual. Without me, there's no ritual at all. Zelly? I look up to find everyone staring at me, waiting for the final answer. It's over. I should tell them now. But as I open my mouth to deliver the news, the right words don't come out. This can't be it. Not after everything we've lost, everything we did. Let's go. The words are weak. By the gods, I wish I could make them sound strong. This has to work. I won't let this be the end. Sky Mother chose me, used me, took me away from everything I loved. She can't abandon me like this. She can't throw me away with nothing but scars. Zell? They cut maggot into my back, I hiss. We're going. I don't care what it takes. I won't let them win. So just finished chapter 71. So take a moment for your notes, write down your summary, and focusing on Zelly specifically, we now know how her torture has really affected her, that she's lost her magic, or we don't know exactly what's happened with her magic, but she's not able to connect to it anymore. So we're not sure what's going on. So what is going on with her? And also pay attention to Amari and her appearance here. So why has her appearance changed? We all know that hair specifically is really a part of this character growth has been for Zelly, and now we see Amari with character growth in it as well. So what does this help us understand about Amari with her new appearance here too? So chapter 72, Zelly's perspective. After hours of traveling through the forest, surrounding the Alasimbo range, Jametta makes its way onto the horizon, sharp and jagged like its rumored inhabitants. Its sand cliffs, rocky bluffs, Jara Lokoja Sea. Waves crash against the base of its cliff, creating a familiar song I know all too well. Though the crashing waves pound and rumble like thunder, just being near the water again sets me at ease. Remember when you wanted to live here? Tzain whispers to me and I nod, a half smile rising to my lips. It's nice to feel something else, to think of something besides all the ways our plan could fail. After the raid, I insisted we go to Jametta. I thought its lawless borders were the only place we'd be safe. Though I'd heard stories of the mercenaries and criminals who filled its streets, in my young eyes, that danger paled in comparison to the joy of living in a city without guards. At least the people trying to kill us here wouldn't wear the Orishan seal. As we pass by the small homes nestled within the towering cliffs, I wonder how different our lives would have been. Wooden doors and window frames stick out of the rock, protruding as if they were grown inside the stone. Bathed in the moonlight, the criminal city almost appears peaceful. I might even think it beautiful, if not for the mercenaries lurking at every corner. Okay, pausing real quick. So we have a brand new setting again. So we're at Jametta, and we've heard the name a couple times. We've seen it on the map, but we never really knew what exactly it was as a city. So we've got sort of a lot of detail in just a couple paragraphs over what the city is, what it's about, and what it looks like. So take a moment in your notes and summarize, do a couple main points. What is Jametta? What kind of city is it? And what does it look like? And then we're continuing. I keep my face hard as we pass a group of masked men, wondering where their specialties lie. From what I've heard of Jametta, anyone we pass could run the gamut from common thievery to assassination requests. Rumor has it, the only true way to get out of the stocks is to hire a mercenary to break you free. They're the only ones strong and sneaky enough to defy the army and live. Nayla growls as we pass another band of masked men, a mix of Poseidon and diviners, men and women, Oretians and foreigners. Their eyes comb over her mane, likely calculating her cost. I snarl as a man dares to step forward. Try me. I threaten him with my eyes. I pity the poor soul who tries to mess with me tonight. Is this it? I ask Kenyon when we stop before a large cave at the base of the cliffs. Its mouth is shrouded in darkness, making it impossible to peer inside. He nods. They call him the Silver-Eyed Foxer. I heard he took out Gombe's general with his bare hands. And he's got a boat. The fastest. Wind-powered, last I heard. All right. I grasp Nayla's reins. Let's go. Wait. Kenyon puts a hand out, stopping us before we take another step. You can't just enter a clan's dwelling with a crew of your own. Only one of us can go. We all hesitate for a moment. Damn it, I'm not ready for this. Tizane reaches for his axe. I'll go. Why? Kenyon asks. This whole plan revolves around Zelly. If anyone goes, it should be her. Are you crazy? I'm not sending her in there alone. It's not like she's defenseless, Kenyon scoffs. With her magic, she's more powerful than any of us. He's right. Amari places her hand on Tizane's arm. They might be more likely to help if they see her magic at work. This is where I agree, where I tell them I'm not scared. Convincing these fighters should be easy. My magic should be stronger than ever. But my stomach churns with the truth, guilt gnawing away at me. It would all feel so much better if just one person knew we weren't relying on me at all. Whether or not we get magic back is completely up to the gods. No, Tizane shakes his head. It's too much of a risk. I can do it. I hand Tizane Nayla's reins. This has to work. Whatever's going on, it has to be Sky Mother's plan. Zell, he's right. I have the best chance of convincing them. Tizane steps forward. I'm not letting you go in there alone. Tizane, we need their fighters. We need their boat. And we have nothing to offer in return. If we want to get to the temple, it's best not to start the conversation with breaking their rules. I hand Amari my pack with the 3 sacred artifacts, keeping only my staff. I run my fingers along the etchings and force a deep breath into my chest. Don't worry. I send a silent prayer up to Oya with my thoughts. If I need help, you'll hear me scream. I walk through the mouth of the cave. The air hangs wet and cold. I move to the nearest wall and slide my hands along the slick ridges, using the stone as a guide. Each step is slow and tentative, but it feels good to move. Good to do something besides reread that damn scroll with a ritual I might not be able to do. As I travel, giant blue crystals drip from the ceiling like icicles, hanging so low they almost brush the cave floor. They provide a faint light, illuminating the 2-tailed batters gathered around their glowing cores. The batters seem to watch me as I move through the cave. Their chorus of squeaks is the only sound I hear until it's drowned beneath the chatter of men and women gathered around a fire. I pause, taking in their surprisingly vast domain. The ground beneath them dips into a depression, coated with a light moss that the mercenaries fashion into cushions. Rays of light peek through their cracks in the ceiling, illuminating hand-carved steps that travel farther down the cliff. I take a few more steps forward and a hush falls over the crowd. Gods help me. I make my way through their gathering. Dozens of masked mercenaries clad in black leer at me as I pass. each sitting on a rock structure that juts out of the ground. Some reach for their weapons, some shift into a fighting stance, half stare like they want to kill, others like they want to devour. I ignore their hostility as I search for gray eyes amid a sea of ambers and browns. The man they belong to emerges from the front of the cavern, the only unmasked mercenary in sight. Though he's covered in black like the rest of the fighters, a dark red scarf wraps around his throat. You? I breathe out in confusion. I can't hide my shock. The sandstone complexion, the striking storm gray eyes, the pickpocket, the thief from the diviner settlement. Though only a short time has passed, it feels like a lifetime ago now. Rowan takes a long drag off a hand-rolled cigarette as his angular eyes slide up my form. He sits down, resting against a circular rock structure, reminiscent of a throne. His foxer-like smile spreads wide against his lips. I told you we'd meet again. He takes another drag off his cigarette and is slow to exhale. But unfortunately, these aren't the right circumstances. Not unless you're here to join me and my men. Your men? Rowan looks only a few years older than Tizane. Though he has a fighter's build, the men he commands are twice his size. You find that amusing? A crooked grin rises to his thin lips, and he leans forward on his stone throne. Do you know what amuses me? A little magi, stumbling into my cave unarmed. Who says I'm unarmed? You don't look like you know your way around a sword. Of course, if that's what you're here to learn, I'd be more than happy to teach. His crudeness elicits laughter from his crew, and my cheeks grow hot. I'm a game to him. Another mark he can pickpocket with ease. I survey the cave, taking stock of his mercenaries. If this is going to work, I need his respect. How kind. I keep my face even. But it's me who's here to teach you. Rowan lets out a hearty laugh that bounces along the cave walls. Go on. I need you and your men for a job that could change Orisha. Again the men jeer, but this time the pickpocket doesn't laugh. He leans farther out of his seat. There's a sacred island north of Jametta, I continue. A full night's sail away. I need you to take us there before tomorrow's sun rises. He leans back against his stone throne. The only island in Lokoja Sea is Kaduna. This island only appears every 100 years. More taunts erupt, but Rowan silences them with a sharp hand. What's on this island, mysterious little magi? A way to bring magic back for good, for every magi in Orisha's land. The mercenaries explode in laughter and taunts, yelling at me to go away. A stocky man steps out of the fray. His muscles bulge beneath his black fatigues. Stop wasting our time with these lies, he growls. Rowan, get this girl out of here, or I will. He lays his hand on my back. His touch sends spasms through the wounds. The pain takes me away, locking me inside the cell. Rusted cuffs rip against my wrists as I pull. My screams echo against the metal walls. And during it all, Saren stands calm, watching them tear me apart. Ugh! I throw the man over my shoulder, slapping him against the rock floor with a loud smack. As he recoils, I ram my staff into his sternum, letting up just before I hear another crack. His screams are loud, but not louder than the one still ringing in my head. The cave seems to hold its breath as I bend down, placing the end of my staff above the mercenary's throat. Touch me again. I bare my teeth. See what happens. He flinches as I release my hold, giving him the chance to crawl away. With his retreat, there's no more laughter. They understand my staff. Rowan's stormy eyes dance, filled with even more amusement than before. He puts out his cigarette and walks forward, stopping only a finger's breadth away from my face. The scent of his smoke engulfs me, sweet like milk and honey. You're not the first to attempt this, love. Kwame already tried to bring magic back. From what I hear, it didn't go so well. Kwame's name sends a pang through my heart, reminding me of the meeting he took with Rowan in the diviner camp. Even back then, he must have been preparing. Deep down, he always knew we'd have to fight. This is different. I have a way to give all the Magi back their gifts at once. What kind of payment are we talking? No coin, I say, but you'll earn the favor of the gods. How do you figure? He snorts. Just general goodwill? He needs more. I rack my mind searching for a better lie. The gods sent me to you. Twice. It's no accident we're meeting again. They've chosen you because they want your help. The crooked smile drops off his face and he's solemn for the first time. I can't read the expression behind his eyes when it's not amusement or mischief. That may be enough for me, love, but my men are going to need a little more than divine intervention. Then let them know that if we succeed, you'll be employed by the future Queen of Orisha. The words tumble out of me before I can even assess whether or not they're true. Tzain told me of Amari's intentions to claim the throne, but with everything going on, I haven't thought of it since. Yet now I hold on to it, using my only leverage. If Rowan and his men don't help us, we won't get anywhere near that island. The Queen's mercenaries, he muses. It has a ring to it, no? It does. I nod. One that sounds a lot like gold. A smirk tugs at the corners of his lips. His gaze slides over me once more. Finally, he holds out his hand, and I hide a smile, keeping my grip firm as we shake. When do we leave? I ask. We have to hit the island by daybreak. Right now, Rowan smiles. But our boat's small. You'll have to sit next to me. Okay, so we just finished chapter 72. Rowan still being smirky and cocky as ever. So again, we've met Rowan again, so what more can we add to his character description? Because before, we only had him for just a few brief seconds where he tried to pickpocket Zelly and flirt with her simultaneously. So now what more do we know about him that we've seen him in Jametta in his cave where he's head of the mercenaries here? So take a moment for all of your notes and summarize the chapter, and then continue on to the next video for chapter 73.